Isn't it amazing how gourmet cooking can feel like a chemistry experiment at times? I was hit by this brainwave today to infuse some of our traditional Korean spices into an Italian pasta recipe. And believe me, my friend, it was like two worlds colliding in a symphony of flavors. Now you've got to hear about this. So, I found myself standing there in our bustling kitchen at Itaewon, wondering if introducing a dash of gochugaru, that's the Korean chili pepper powder we love, to pasta, might make Dolmio blush in embarrassment. And guess what? It totally did. Instead of using oregano, I went full throttle on the gochugaru and gave it the soy sauce twist we Koreans swear by. Talk about spice blending. It was like orchestrating Mozart, or maybe Psy would be more appropriate in this context. The end result was, well, a mouth-watering fusion dish that tasted so unexpectedly delicious, it gave the traditional pasta a run for its money. This brainchild of mine, I reckon, could even give me my golden ticket into the world of fusion cooking. It was like Italy went on a vacation to the scenic landscapes of Busan and came back, brimming with the flavors and energy of my homeland. You know, all that talk about Italy and Korean spices has got me dreaming of a fusion Italian-Korean restaurant. Imagine our mom's authentic sourdough bread as the showstopper of the menu. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? And oh, speaking about fusions, I had this funny chat with Juhwan and Yuna today. Juhwan was awed by the fusion cook-up and even compared it to his surprising simulation results. I told him the kitchen is my code editor. As for Yuna, she was so fascinated it got us joking about swapping our expertise for a day. Imagine Yuna filming her documentaries underwater while coding strategic games and Juhwan trying to recreate marine ecosystems in his kitchen. And me? I'd be perfecting sourdough in the midst of corals. Ah well, it's about time I refocused on the dinner rush, my friend. But before I do, let me grab another bite of this fusion delight. Wish you could taste this right now. You know what's funny? It's how sometimes our regular things in life suddenly turn artistic. So, here's a fun thing that happened today. I was trying to give a second life to some of the stuff that's just lying around in my place collecting dust. You know, reduce, reuse, recycle, and all that jazz. And obviously, given my one-track cooking mind, I ended up making a homemade pasta maker using some old gears and parts. Now that's taking my cooking obsession to new heights, isn't it? Feels so good, you know, shaping pasta in a maker that's crafted by yours truly. There's something indescribably joyful about upcycling. It's not just about the end product, but the whole process of conceiving the idea, sourcing the materials, and making it. You know, I've already used it a few times and trust me, every strand of pasta feels a bit more special now. It's like every dish I make with it now is a little bit more me, a little bit more personal. Maybe that's the secret ingredient that takes a dish from good to great, a dash of personal love and passion. Yuna and Juhwan were over the moon when I shared the news. Juhwan is already eager to see the pasta maker. Maybe he thinks it's some sort of wizardly contraption. Ah, wait, I shouldn't tease him. We're planning to do a pasta-making session after our next climb. Now there's a mix. Pasta and bouldering. Who would have thought? Yuna has been a sport, though. She was a bit hesitant initially, but I think the idea of fresh homemade pasta has grown on her. I've promised her no octopus this time. Yeah, remember her face last time when I said octopus pasta? Ha! Oh, and on a side note, I had suggested Ignite by Alan Walker to Yuna for her diving workouts. That song has got that adrenaline-pumping vibe, right? And Juhwan brought up Squid Game again, so I'm finally watching it this weekend. Unlike Juhwan, I'm not a big fan of violent scenes, but let's see how it goes. You know what's amazing? Today I went full-on tech nerd mode and explored a virtual reality cooking game. It was insane. Truly an experience like no other, seeing all these glimmering pots and pans in the cyberspace. It was a real kick, feeling the thrill of the kitchen without worrying about cutting fingers or burning hands. It's a whole new world out there. I mean, how often do you get to flip virtual hotcakes with a flick of a wrist? Of course, virtual or not, cooking always gets my adrenaline pumping. This time it was just different, like watching your favorite movie in 3D for the first time. You've got to try it out sometime, it's surreal. Funnily enough, it was Noah, that tech enthusiast I told you about, that recommended this VR game. He said something about blending passion with innovation, and I'm beginning to see his point. Juhwan and Yuna found the whole experience hilarious, of course. I mean, a cook going all tech geek, they couldn't stop laughing. I told them how I virtually chopped and sautéed without creating any kitchen mess. You know how I obsess over keeping the kitchen clean, right? So there I was, cooking away in my virtual kitchen, making magic without a speck of mess. I can't tell you what a joy that was. Now, of course, eventually we had to step out of the virtual world and get back to the real one. And what better way to go back to reality than grabbing some good food at the night market, right? I guess technology can inspire hunger in more ways than one. We are techies after all, enjoying the food stall's magic after some coding, gaming, or in my case, virtual cooking. Oh, listen to this. Juhwan had this idea. He was like, Hyun, didn't you say something about owning a restaurant someday? How about a VR restaurant where anyone can cook? So, imagine that, a virtual restaurant. You know what? With Juhwan's tech wizardry, my cooking magic, and your strategic mind, we could actually make it happen. Well, gotta go now, my friend. The reality of my kitchen duties call me back. Don't worry, one day I'll cook you a dish on our VR platform. I promise it won't be as messy as my spaghetti marinara.